agreement with that. But Gurudas Dasgupta, let me just turn to you on, let me see where we can actually agree on this program. Would you agree with the following thesis, that if we could find a way where we can substantially improve employment, where we can substantially make it much easier for industrialists and for industry to go out and hire people, and yet we can look after the interests of workers at a time when times are not that good? Would you be okay with a situation like that? Substantially, in an environment like, would you be okay with a thesis like that?
It is really hypothetical. The basic question is not only employment. The question is how much you do pay. If a person works in a factory for 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day and is given 1,000 rupees per month, that is a distressed wage, and that does not really mean that the people is employed. It actually categorized as an underemployment.
Okay, fair enough. Now, if I gave you, for example, the agenda to say, let's try and change our labor laws in a way that we achieve what you are wanting, what changes would you make to the labor laws, if any?
I don't want any change in labor law. I want labor laws to be extended to the unorganized sector, to the contract labor. I want labor laws to be implemented. I want peace, industrial peace. I can give you an example. About 8,000 workers are on strike in Gurgaon, and I am frantically negotiating. I am moving from pillar to post to end the strike. I met the Prime Minister. I had a talk with the Chief Minister of Gurgaon. I do not want production to be affected, nor do I want the interest of the workers to be compromised. And you should know why this strike started. It started because they wanted to form a trade union. And since they wanted to form the trade union, therefore, a large number of workers have immediately been suspended on receiving the information from the Labour Department. Therefore, it is not the workers who are going on strike. It is actually the management who are forcing a strike on the workers, deny them the rights of association, forming association.
Why
and
should
union.
Is there anything wrong with
country? It is absolutely. In our country, it is absolutely a jungle raj, absolutely a preponderance of the corporates, absolutely a violation of trade union right.
Okay, let me just get a response to that. Yes. Amit Mitra, is there anything wrong with what Gurudas Dasji is saying right now? Is there anything wrong in somebody forming a trade union?
Absolutely not. But let me come to the solution which you wanted, which will respond to Gurudas Dasgupta ji. Very simple. Number one, reduce the number of laws from 200 to a manageable number. That's one. Number two, Contract Labour Act has been passed in Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah.
Make the labour laws a state subject.
That's right.
And they have successfully done so, protecting the interest of the worker. Number three, number of trade unions in a factory should be only one, not 50 as I indicated. Number four, let there be a strike ballot system as in Germany and UK, where all the workers come together. In an extreme case, they will ballot and say they will strike, which will be clear and understandable to the management over a process. Okay. And last point, workmen. The law on workmen, as a much earlier report was submitted, saying a workman making 3.5 lakhs as a pilot cannot be considered a workman. He is an employee with 3.5 lakhs a month salary, equated to a 3,500 rupees worker. Okay. Change the Workman Act as per the recommendation of the government. You do these 6 things and you will see trade union rights are protected, but people will start employing people and generate growth.
What's wrong with those 6 points?
I have no great difficulty with any of them, because none of them...
They're okay.
I have no great difficulty. Obviously, we have to discuss the details of it. But the point, the fundamental point that needs to be made here is that rationalization of labor laws is one thing. Overthrowing the rationale of labor laws is quite another thing. Again and again, the expression has been used here, unorganized labor. But the fact of the matter is that the bulk of our economy is in the hands of unorganized enterprises. That was why the Arjun Sengupta committee reported on that and told us that there are 836 million Indians living on less than 20 rupees a day, which is below the NREGA per capita wage.
Okay.
Now, in these circumstances, do we want to get hold of a few who succeeded in coming out of this slime, becoming organized workers, being pushed back. Because on a logical basis, if you have wage rates that are zero, everyone will be employed.
Okay, fine.
So the point is, at what wage is it reasonable for human beings to live in an organized sector where at the throw of a hat, 70,000 crore of tax revenue foregone so that he can have 3 types of ties?
3 types of ties for tax revenue.
And 4 types of kurtas.
And 4 types of kurtas.
And red in color.
And red in color. This stands up for something.
Actually, it's half red, half saffron, which is a more dangerous area. Okay, Jagdish Khattar, the points that were made.
No, I think I entirely agree with him. And what Mr. Iyer is saying, our effort should be to get more unorganized people into the organized sector. And that will come through flexibility.
That's essentially what happened in China.
That's what has happened in China.
Okay, Mr. Reddy, let me put it to you. You heard his suggestions.
Yeah.
Do you have any substantial problems with those?
I differ with him. When employers form associations, they do have FICCI, ASSOCHAM and all. Then why not the employees, irrespective of wages? Pilots, forming a union by pilots, in what way is it objectionable?
Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with pilots forming an association.
No, sir, there is nothing wrong. They are calling themselves workmen like a worker at 3,500 rupees
wage. Don't call themselves a workman.
One extreme example and
I mean,
I'm only responding to our
one
friends.
very extreme example. Most workers covered by our labour laws are genuinely workers.
His point
And
is
I
that
don't
those
think-
labour laws are also
No,
covering
I
a pilot
agree with
earning
him
a
because
3.5
the point
lakhs.
he's making is trivial, not because it's profound.
Okay. But other than that, substantially any other major problems?
Yeah, major problems are there. First of all, we want all the labor laws be implemented properly.
Okay, that's what...
Safety is neglected mostly. Take the example of a recent accident that took place in Balco.
Yeah.
More than 60 workers, poor workers have lost their lives.
Well,
then who
we
is
should
looking
blame the
after?
Chinese for that. Chinese entrepreneurs, not Indian entrepreneurs.
No,
in that particular
see, they should think of the welfare of the employees also.
Okay. Manish, some of the suggestions that we've heard, some of the solutions that we've heard. Now, we heard solutions on 2 sides. One is saying, well, how about implementing the existing labour laws first? Making sure that
Unenforceable. You're trying to enforce the unenforceable.
they're not enforceable.
The Central Labour Commissioner, you can't comply with 100% of India's labour laws without violating 20% of them.
It cannot be done.
Yes. I have a notice
So
from the
his
Delhi
suggestion, simplify 200 down to 4 and implement those.
is key. And that's why we can maybe make base camp as plumbing. And then we can get to the philosophy issues. But nobody disagrees that the plumbing of our labor laws is messed up. And I think one important point, people trivialize job creation. India is a hostile habitat for entrepreneurship and job creation. I don't know how many people have created jobs. But when you start out as an entrepreneur with your savings, and the stereotype of everybody having a dad who gave them money is trivial. My dad worked for the government and I raised my own money. And, India is a hostile habitat for entrepreneurship. The private sector has to substitute for the state. We generate our own electricity, we provide our own transport, we generate our own water, now we manufacture our own employees. We cannot provide unemployment insurance. That is the role of the state. So we have to recognize that job creation is done in a context. Without employers, you don't have employees.
Okay, I'm going to get the audience in after this and we'll get final comments from all our panelists as well. Let's just see what the audience thinks of all this. You're watching The Big Five.